While at the junkyard the other day, I was looking at something under the hood and happened to look up at this guy and finally figure out what it is. This is the under hood light I'm supposed to have that's obviously missing. The light sits right here, and this is a coil retractable line so that you can take that light and move it around and look at other parts of the engine. So I grabbed the one from the junkyard, but have since discovered that it doesn't work. I have found where the loose connection is, and I'll show that to you in a moment. The other issue I have is that my connection right here is a little different. You can see on this one, the way it's been wound is I've got one wire connection, likely the positive, and then the ground is connected to that bracket. Let me show you the connection the other one has. First problem with this new one, which I've already taken apart, is that the line, which is over here, it seems like a substantial amount of line, wasn't retracting all the way. This is just a spring, wind-up spring. See here, I've already taken it out and fixed the rat's nest. Now I've got it on there. So anyway, there's just wound up metal that tightens as it unwinds and then retracts. And I believe whatever was binding that up, I believe I've got fixed now. You can hear that's clicking. That's what it should do as it unwinds, and then it should retract it back. So you can see that's how it's supposed to work. How much tension it's supposed to have, I will figure out as I put it back together. To get these two halves apart, just a bunch of rivets around. I did break one tab there right here, I believe. No, it was on the other one in that spot. That one broke off. But that doesn't totally matter because this is where the light issues are. I verified that this connection works, which is through, you can see the black wire there, but this one does not. But it does work right at the wire point right here. So it's something with this, whatever this guy is not connected, or it's corroded and not connecting. But you can also see that this is a two-prong connector, whereas the one that was on the Jeep, which I already showed you, is a one single prong connector with the ground tied in elsewhere. So what I'm going to try to do, rather than fiddle with this, is I'm also going to take that one apart and see if I can swap just this one section that has the connector I need, if it has proper continuity right there. And then I'll use all the lights, all the innards and everything between the two. I should be able to get a working light. And I just verified the connection under the hood is corroded. I did have to get through some stuff to get good contact, but the wire is hot. It does work. So I'll hit that with some electric parts cleaner and see if I can get that corrosion cleaned up a bit so I have a good connection. But otherwise, I'm gonna work on this. So I'm gonna start drilling out the rivets of this old one and get it separated in half. All right, here it is, all back together. I ran to the hardware store and got some number 4 stainless screws that were number 4, 40 thread, and 3/8 long, and they are perfect. You can see how much they're protruding. Unfortunately, they were out of split washers, so I ended up putting them on with regular washers, but I did use some Loctite to help keep them from vibrating out. So it's back together. What I have is the this section, which I guess is the top, because this is the orientation here, is the original from my Jeep. And everything else is, nope, the two plastic pieces. Now that I look at it, the two plastic pieces are from my Jeep, but the insides are all from the junkyard Jeep. So first thing is I did about 3 prep turns on this internal spring to get the light to wind up what I felt was right. So let's check the retractability of that. It's just got some clips on the top and bottom that hold it in, and nothing really to get them to release other than to just pull. So there we go. So there's the lock, and that goes in. I'm happy with the amount of retention that's on that. So I think that's just about right. And then you can see that light there. I tested it initially before I put it together, and it worked, so I expect nothing different here. But the connection wasn't great because that was before I put the screws on. So now that that's clamped down and we've got good contact everywhere, I expect this to light right up. So there's the negative, and boom. Okay. So that's ready to go back on the Jeep now. I've just identified another problem. This is how the ground was hooked up when I took this off of my Jeep. And the ground through the bolt works fine, but I've got no connection through the bracket I just tested, and it's because the bracket is painted. So there's no connection there, and I'm fairly sure that I'm gonna have the same problem when this is on the Jeep, because the bracket's gonna have to transfer the ground into the hood and through a bunch of different connections, and I don't think this is going to be very reliable. So I'm gonna snip this off and put either a spade or a bullet connector on here. I have some that also have shrink wrap ends on them, so it'll be somewhat weather protected. And then I'll run another line directly to a more reliable ground in the engine bay. And then we'll go put this back on. And I have light under the hood. And I have light under the hood. It works. Let me turn on some light here. So the ground, I ended up hooking up right here, and it just runs around there. There's both connections with that shrink wrap stuff on it. Works real well, and that works. And I've even verified, and do this one-handed. I'm not sure where the sensor is, but when the hood gets about right there, light goes off. That hood's about halfway open, and then it goes on up here. So that's nice to have some light under the hood now, and I think that light is going to be a candidate for an LED replacement. What's cracking, everybody? One of the odds and ends I've decided to add to the Jeep are these hood struts. When I first saw these were available, I thought that'd be a nice luxury item. I'll put them on the low priority, see what happens list. But once I did the suspension lift, the Jeep raised so much that I can no longer comfortably lift the hood and get the rod holder in place. Let me show you. So I used to be able to reach over and grab the rod and get it to the hole. But with the extra 4 or 5 inches that this has gone up, yeah, I'm like an inch short over there. I can't reach it at all. So that means I have to come all the way around the side to get the leverage up where I need it to get that hood up. So these hood struts went from being a luxury item to a near necessity for me. And I'm a person of average height, so this is probably a problem that a lot of people will face. So I've got a few minutes this evening. It's a beautiful night out. I'm enjoying being outside. So let's go ahead and put these on. Instructions are pretty straightforward and have very clear diagrams going along with it. These are the tools they indicate you'll need. Measuring tape, some masking or painter's tape, a marker, drill bits and drill, center punch, and a rivet setter that can handle 3/16 rivets. And by the way, the drill bits they recommend are 1/8 and 3/16. All right, here is the first step done. You're supposed to measure from the cowl right here on the fender 5.5 inches. Now my fender is literally drying from new paint right now, so it's still off, but that would be the spot. And since we're not drilling into the fender itself, we are drilling into this part of the subframe, it's fine to have it off, I think. And then on the hood, measure down to 17.5 inches. Now they do specify to start with the driver's side. I went ahead and marked both while the hood was down, but I am here on the driver's side, and here's where you may have a little extra work to do depending on your model. If you have anything in the way up here, then you will need to remove that so that you can get in there with the drill. I thought I might have to remove my washer fluid tank, but turns out I probably do not. The other thing they reference that might be in that place is this ballast resistor right here, but mine is way towards the front. So I think I will be good to go for getting things in place. It's going to be a little tight for the drill in there, but we'll see if we have any troubles there. So I've got that one, and then the one on the hood is up here, right around halfway up the hood. It's right here. So yeah, pretty much about halfway up the hood. Now the next step is to take one of the small brackets. There's ones with 3 holes and ones with 5 holes, so this is clearly one of the small ones. You line up the ball with the marking. This is on the side fender. And then you're going to mark the holes, center punch them, and then drill them sequentially, small bit to large bit, to get the right hole. And they indicate that part of the ball right there should also sit over the fender as such. So I've got it pretty much lined up, and it looks like we've got about 1 inch of space down there. So I think I'm there. So I'm going to get this one marked and then see how we do with the drill. Okay, the instructions do say that the rivets should be a snug fit but not tight. And if they are tight, you're instructed to ream them out a little bit more. I have one that fits really well, but the other two, a little bit too snug, especially that one. So I'm going to ream those out a little bit, and then we should be ready to install this bracket. Word to the wise on this hood strut insulation. If you see where this marking is, this is on the passenger side where the fender is still on, and that's where they indicated you should mark it. However, the pictures clearly show this, but I would have fallen victim. I would have put the bracket up here on the fender, but it belongs down here on the subframe or inner fender. area. Now, fortunately, on my driver's side with the fender already off, that was the only place to put it. So I kind of lucked out because I would have totally misplaced that. So make sure you put it down here on this side, which is how it is depicted in the pictures. I just wouldn't have caught that. All right, so let me show you on this last bracket how this is going together. So I've got my 1/8 bit. I've already marked and center punched the one hole. Let's pre-drill it with the 1/8, and then you watch from there. Now, they do caution you in the instructions to be careful when going through this part of putting this bracket on, that you don't punch through and dent your hood or drill through it. I think denting is probably really the concern. Okay, fit, that's the front hole right here. And then, as every self-respecting construction worker does, got to put the spares in your mouth. All right, first one on. Okay, I'm satisfied with that placement. I tell you, driving these rivets is quite a workout on your hands and your forearms. So obviously I just drilled all three, the last three, so I can rivet them straight through. No dings on the back side of the hood, so should be in pretty good shape. Right up, that's how it's supposed to do it. Okay, last one. Okay. Now I do have one more rivet to put in on the other side. I had one hole that didn't line up, and so to get the rivet to line up I had to make it bigger, and now it doesn't have enough meat on it for the rivet to grab. So I'm gonna run over to Lowe's and grab a washer that'll fit so that it's got some grip on it. But otherwise, let's put the struts on. I've already got the strut on the other side on one end. The hood was up a fraction too high to get it on both ends, so that's why I went ahead and did this one. And then we can take this rod stop out of the way and see how they work. So instructions say that the big end, the gas end, should go up. So pull the little tab off or out of the way. There we go. All right, now on this side, also on the passenger side, I did have to just move my reservoir tank out of the way. I didn't have to disconnect anything. I've got one of the so-called closed systems, one of the early models, but all I had to do was just take the rubber strap off and just move it to the side a little bit. And just like that, it's back in place. Okay. Here we go. Let's see here. Get that out of the way. Okay. Got that one popped on. And that one's enough to hold it, well, mostly hold it by itself. So 2 of them should be in pretty good shape. Get this one lined up. There we go. That's snapped on, holding up. I can just reach it. Let's see how it functions. There, all right, here we go. All right. Okay. Got clearance on that side. All right, really advantageous that that fender's off. Let me show you what it looks like. So without the fender, that's gonna be the clearance right there, and then the other one is up here, which, am I going to hit the washer reservoir? Let's see here. Let's push this the rest of the way down. It looks like it might just be touching. It also seems like these are pushing the hood forward a little bit, because there was formerly a little more relief on this front end, whereas now it looks like it's pretty much just right next to it. Yeah, there's no gap there at all. A little bit of a gap over here, so this side seems all right. But some of that may resolve itself when I get the fender back in, because that may push this front grill guard forward just a little bit. So I'm not going to panic about that just yet. So anyway, that's how it fits. Now let's see how it opens up. Pop the hood here. It's got some good spring to it. Oh yeah, that works beautifully. So I am very pleased with that. They sit there in the back. They are very much out of the way. Nothing impeding on this side, so I will just have to watch out for if it's hitting this windshield washer tank. That's pretty much right where that end is. But looking at it, I'm not seeing any. Oh, yep, there is a tiny divot right there. You can just see. So, yep. I think I can live with that, though. I'm pretty sure it's not enough to do any damage. Good. I'm happy with it.